Hello and welcome to the next episode of Joe Man Show. Today I'm here with Jannelly, so can you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Jannelly. I'm a musician, singer, songwriter from the Valley, and I'm really grateful to be here.
I know it's a long time coming because again, earlier on I wanted to interview White Crow and that was a big thing. I didn't get that opportunity. I usually wait for artists or bands to have music ready to release. And then I saw a post saying oh no, this is gonna be our last thing. We're gonna release this album,
Yeah.
and that's gonna be it. I'm like,
Yeah, gone too soon. Rest in peace, White Girl. Yeah.
So what's how did you start off? I guess just with your musical career. How did you pick up an instrument? What made you want to get to that point? Because I always tell people it's one thing listening to music, thinking about doing music, but then actually taking that step is a whole different thing.
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up luckily around music my whole life. When I was younger, I think I really got into it because my dad, he was he plays guitar, and when he was in I think high school or college, he played in a band too. He played metal. I think his band was called DNR, Do Not Resuscitate or something like that, right? Cool. He was super cool. And then so he kind of always, I guess, wanted me and my sister and my brother to kind of get into music. So my uncle also plays drums, and he would come over, and my dad would play guitar and I would sing, and me and my sister would kind of alternate trying to play guitar and bass, which when we were young, I was 13, 12, I sucked so bad, but it was just doing covers of Cigarette Daydreams, stuff like that, or Linger by the Cranberries, a bunch of music like that made me really love it. Playing it and doing that with my family is just a lot of really nice memories. And so I really loved music since then, and I would always sing all the time. Mm-hmm. And then when I was 14, my dad was you want to learn I'll teach you 3 chords, G, E minor, C. I was okay. I was all nervous, right?
Yeah.
And he was trying to teach me, and I learned them, and I was okay, I'll do it. Because with those 3 chords you can do so many songs, mm-hmm. which I didn't know back then, but I was I just started playing music in my room alone, and I think naturally when you're young and going through things, you just start writing things. So I didn't really have the intention of performing. It was just more I really needed to get this out.
I hope it's not, I don't know how much of the mic's picking up, but we'll find out right now.
We're at 707, by the way.
Yeah, we're doing a 707 interview right now.
Yay.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's very interesting. So you did have a musical family that really helped you
start
that
sure.
up. And then how did it get to the point where you started forming bands? Because it's, to me, it seems quite a bit finding different other people that, first of all, play instruments.
Yeah.
The second part is making sure they actually vibe together as a band.
Yeah.
How was that like?
So since I love music, I was in choir, mariachi, band and stuff in high school. Mm-hmm. And I had decided after my senior year that I wanted to study it in college. So I studied music for 2 years there in college at UTRGV. And while I was there, I guess just being surrounded by so many musicians, they all mm-hmm. Kind of knew each other. And I was told hey, you should go to this show. And I was what's that? And they were there's a whole scene. What are you talking about? And I was what? Where did this where has this been my whole life? Right. Mm-hmm. So I went to the show and I was this is super cool, really cool. And Vivi from White Crow, she went to high school with me. We went mm-hmm. to the same school. So I saw through her Instagram that she was looking for somebody to cover singing for a show or something like that. And that's what I was studying in college, mm-hmm. Vocal education. So I was hey, I like this type of music, and I'm also studying it in school, and I want to try and merge my 2 worlds. So I went there for a practice with them, which it wasn't I was going to be their singer.
Yeah.
They was just kind of I was going to fill in, and that was really fun and it was cool. And then after that one, they were hey, we have another gig. Can you cover that one too, right? And it wasn't just me. It was another singer too. Her name is Nixa. She's a really good singer. Mm-hmm. And so that's how I got to know Francisco, Ruben, Mario, because they were already in the band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they already had that band together, and they had their own, how they created the band, which I don't really know the whole lore, but they just asked me if I could help them. And then after a while, I went to one of the practices, and they were we want to talk to you about something. And I was oh, okay. And they were we want you to be our singer. Mm-hmm. We really we work really well with you. You have a really nice voice. We really we just click. And at this time, we were only doing covers.
Yeah.
They had no originals, nothing. So I felt like it was a really good opportunity because I did vibe really well with them. I did work really well with them. And on top of that, like, it was fresh. Like, I wasn't going to have to be learning other bands' music. We're going to be making our own. So I was like, yeah, for sure. Like, I'm on board with that. That's how I started with White Crow. Yeah.
Oh, that was very interesting. Yeah, because I always wondered like what the lore was for that band.
The lore, yeah. No, yeah, I was like, I just came in. Like, they already had their own thing, but I never ever felt like a stranger, you know, like they made me feel so welcome. Like we got together, we were like, we are still all really good friends. Like we all see each other. We play D&D together.
Yeah. No, yeah, I was hearing that. I'm like, oh, damn, they're nerds.
Yeah, we're nerds. But I also just really like think that's so important because I feel like so many times that you think like a band breaks up or disbands that they're on bad terms or some drama happens.
Because sometimes there is that stuff that goes on.
Yeah, of course. And I hate that. Like, I would never want that for anybody. Like, I mean, anything that has led me to where I am today, I'm grateful for, regardless of if it's good or bad, you know?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, what do you learn like in college about like music? Like, what do they teach you?
Okay, so I don't know if this is a controversial take. No, I'm just kidding. But I switched my major to English because I hated studying music in college. I literally was battling so hard with like those 2 years because I was like, if I change my major, that means I don't love music, you know, because it's an institutionalized version of music. So it's classical education, opera, choir. It's a lot of like dots, you know, like reading sheet music, and you have to have a specific technique and form and this and that. And as somebody who like grew up with music just being fun and just being like something that was my escapism, I guess, making it so like structured where like at the end of every semester I would have to have juries, which is like I'd perform, and that would be like, if you're good enough, you go to the next semester. And if you're not good enough, you have to repeat. And it's like I passed them, but I just felt very like put in a box of like how I was supposed to be making music, and it just like destroyed my love for music. Like I didn't create anything those 2 years, like anything for myself. And so I was like, I just can't do it, and I switched my major.
It seems kind of strange considering that like music and all this stuff is very creative.
Yeah.
So the fact that they put it under a box.
Yeah, and like
strange.
it works for some people. Like some of the people there, they love it, and they're like, you know, it's helped me become a better musician, and you know, more power to you. I wish that was the outcome that I had, because I wish that like I could have gone and, you know, become a music teacher, because that's what I wanted to do. But I just knew that if I continued, I was going to become the type of teacher that just didn't have the passion for it. And I didn't want to influence another generation like and ruin their love for music when I love it so much. So it's kind of like if you love it, let it go type of thing. Somebody else will do it better than you. Yeah.
Yeah. And was there anything like that you did pick up that was pretty good from these lessons, or no?
Oh yes, of course. Like I learned so much about like vocal health for sure. Like taking care of myself. Like I mean, with White Crow, like I screamed. Like
a lot.
I screamed, and I would sing like clean. So doing both of those, it really helped me. I would even ask my professor, like in college, like, how do I fry scream? And she's like, what are you asking me right now? Like we're in choir. And then we would talk about vocal health and how like, you know, some people like they just scream, but like that's not gonna get you far, and you're not gonna be long term with that. You have to learn how to do things like vocally in a way that will sustain you for a career, especially if like that's something you really love and care about, which I do. So if I wanted to have a career of doing screaming and singing, I would have to learn the right technique of how to scream.
Yeah, because there's been a bunch of rock stars who have lost their voice.
Yeah.
I know like Axl Rose is like a really big example of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely learn like vocal health, how to take care of myself, and just like more discipline for myself. Like
what are those techniques like to like keep your vocal cords intact when you're screaming and all that stuff?
Yeah, so like definitely like warming up. Like I used to never warm up or anything like that, because I was like, that's so cringy. Like warming up is so like, oh my god, I'm too edgy for that. But like no, like you have to warm up and like just do exercises to make sure like your voice is like lubricated enough to be able to sing and stuff like that. And then learning techniques like fry scream, false chords, like those type of screaming techniques, so that you know when and how to use them. And so your voice, because it's like when that happens, your voice box is oscillating at like a certain like frequency or whatever. And so like knowing how to do that at the right time so that you're not just crashing your vocal cords together and like destroying them, like just to sound like cool, it's not worth it, you know?
No, that's very interesting. I wonder how people like figure all that stuff out with how to control your voice and making sure it's kept healthy.
I know, yeah. Like, I mean, I don't know how they figured it out, but like my teacher, she showed me a bunch of like books of like pictures of them, and I'm like, how do you know this?
Do they show you like how they look when they're really fucked up or no?
Yeah, like so there's like a thing called she scared me because when I told her, she was like, "You're in like a rock band or what?" And I was like, "Yeah, I scream." And when I first started, I wasn't screaming right. And it wasn't just her. I had people in my life at the time also helping me learn how to scream that were in bands and stuff. But she was like, you can get vocal nodules, which is basically like you get like these disgusting like cysts in your throat that are filled with pus. And if that happens or something happens, you have to have like surgery.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, I don't want that. No, please. So I was like, I need to learn how to do this right. Yeah.
And so like, this is the part like I get really, really curious. How do you, it's one thing telling you to do something, but like, how do they tell you like how to like scream properly? Like, how do you figure that out? Like, okay, this is the correct way versus this is the incorrect way.
Well, I mean, if you're doing it wrong, it hurts.
Okay.
Yeah, especially with screaming. Like if you scream like super loud, it's gonna hurt, right? But you just like, I don't know how to explain it. They tell you like, I don't want to do it right now, but they tell you like where you should place your tongue, like where it should feel in your throat, how you're breathing, because breathing is like a huge part of singing. Like you need to support, like especially screaming is like, it's a lot of breath, which is like why with like White Crow, I was like out of breath because I'm literally standing there, but I'm like using all my breath to scream in a way that I'm also controlling here and controlling like everything. So it's like, it's really weird. I don't know how to explain it, but they just like, it's trial and error basically. You know, it hurts and then they're like, does it hurt? And you're like, yeah, it hurts. And they're like, don't do that. I'm like, okay, I'll try again. Yeah.
And then, I mean, so you learned all this stuff. You were in White Crow for a while. Like what, a couple of years?
I think like one and a half. Yeah.
And then now you're doing your solo stuff. How does it differ? What made you want to go back into music? Because I know it's like a big part of your life.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, you seem to like take like a break for a while. Yeah, because I saw my Instagram like someone's missing, and I saw like you took a little break.
Yeah.
What made you like get the energy and I guess the confidence to come back into doing your music, and then for like you started doing them at Harlingen at the open mics.
Yeah.
How was all of that? Okay,
so basically, so with White Crow and then also like Mantic Mantis that I was with at the time, like when I was out of those projects, I mean, those were like such different projects than what I'm doing now. It's like punk with like Mantic, and then I don't even know, like grunge rock, I guess, maybe with White Crow type of thing. And so after like I was out of those bands, I was just kind of thinking about like what it is that I want. And I realized though that being in those bands, like, and playing a lot of like shows with those two different bands, like that I was comparing myself a lot to like the other bands, like, and because they're good, like, or where they were, like their success in the scene, the local scene or whatever. And I realized that I was writing a lot of music within Mantic or within White Crow, that the mindset wasn't like, I want people to feel something. It was more like, how are we going to get this crowd moving? Like, they're not going to want to book us if we're playing this. And like, for me, having like that love for music, that like really disappointed me when I like came to terms with that.
Because there was a truth to it, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a truth to it that I had to face in myself, that like, yo, you are kind of being a clout chaser right now. And it sucks because like, that's not you. And then, so after all that, I kind of wanted to take a break from everything, like social media, everything. Like I deleted my socials, everything. And that started just because, not just with music, but like with everything in life, like comparison is a thief of joy. And like, it's so hard not to compare yourself when you're brain rotting and bed rotting, just scrolling through Instagram for hours and being like, this person has this and I don't have it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, I deleted it all and I only kept a YouTube, because for me, I wanted to be able to like document, I guess, my own like musical personal journey without it being influenced by other people, because on YouTube you can upload and you don't necessarily have to like scroll through other people's or be there for hours.
Yeah.
So I was there doing covers, and then slowly like taking care of myself more so as well, like mentally and physically. Like I would go on walks. So I started going on walks and just taking care of myself. And I started writing again. Like I started writing how I did when I was 14 in my room, like just me and my guitar and the feelings that I had. And like it's a certain level of vulnerability that goes away when you only focus on success.
Yeah.
And so getting that back, like it meant so much to me, like that I could write like that again. So I kept doing it. Like I kept tapping into like more and more. And it's like a spiritual growth, you know, like you open up, you're more vulnerable with yourself. You take care of yourself, and it shows in your music. And so that's why I started like writing that again, and then going to Amani's open mic, because he was always like very supportive. Like since the first time I ever performed there, he's like, hey, like this is different.
Yeah, no, it's very different from like, I guess it's kind of like rap centric a little bit.
Yeah.
So I have R&B, and so like what you were doing is very different from most of the artists there.
I think because I used to go to like the Flying Walrus a lot, which I loved. Flying Walrus, Gremlin, like that's where I got my start with like White Crow. That's where we debuted. That's also Gremlin is also where I debuted with Mantic Mantis. So that was cool. But also like it is a very different vibe. I feel like those people, they're a lot more like established. Like it's a venue, you know, and the open mic at Amani's is so like, it's a rooftop. It's very, everybody's so welcoming, and it's very open, like literally open mic.
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like I feel, you're right about that. I never thought about it, but not in a bad way, but like the rooftop one is very like actual amateurs. Like
exactly.
They're very starting off.
Yeah.
Over here, there are amateurs in the aspect where they're somewhat starting off, but they already have so much experience behind them where they're established already.
Yeah. And so like I know that what I'm writing doesn't necessarily fit with R&B or rap, but in some ways that is more, it pushes me more to be confident with my music, because you're not always going to be able to play like to the people that you want to play to, right? You have to be able to play to everybody, and you have to be able to get an audience and people that they're there and they're here for like a rap concert, and they're like, hey, like this is different, but I like it, you know? And that's what I want. Like at the end of the day, we're all human. Like I want people to be able to relate to the experiences that I write about, and whatever music you listen to, like you can relate to another human, you know, being a human. So that's why.
Yeah, you're basically breaking that box that you talked about university, where you're going to like a rap centric open mic, but like you're introducing something different. So like it doesn't have to be this small box where there's not different genres. Because I think that happened with the Wars, where it became a lot more like a rock centric open mic.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a couple of rappers too, but it became like really rock centric. And then I haven't been to the Gremlin one in a while, so I assume maybe it became more like acoustic or something.
Yeah, I don't know, but definitely I noticed that with the Walrus, like you said, like because I think they're the only ones that have like the full like rig set up, right? Like drums and stuff like that, where like if I was going to an open mic at the Walrus, it was kind of like I was going to a show. Yeah. You know, like it is intimidating, and it's a really good thing that they offer that, of course, like, but it's intimidating.
Because it's a very professional setting.
It is very professional. And I think like, I don't know how to explain it, but like the music that I'm trying to write now, I want it to be very stripped back, very vulnerable and like raw. And I just felt that a rooftop was more that vibe than like a whole production, you know? And that's why I chose.
What kind of genre would you consider your current music under?
I don't know, actually. I feel like,
or who would you compare it at least to, like, so people can get like I guess like a gauge of what you're trying to do?
Well, I don't know who to compare myself to. I've gotten a lot of like Miss Lizzie McAlpine, a lot of like her type of stuff, but my influences for sure is just people that are like Elliott Smith, Jeff Buckley, like Mazzy Star, the Cranberries, like a lot of people that their experience, and Lizzie McAlpine, a lot of people that their experiences and their voice and just their guitar can like move you. Like, you know how everybody right now is like going crazy over Lover You Should Have Come Over by Jeff Buckley. And it's like, it's not for no reason, you know, like he really carries like such like a vulnerability and like a rawness and like his voice and just the guitar that like makes people cry. And that's like, it's really hard to do that.
How do you get the confidence to like actually put yourself out there? Because you could write songs about like random stuff or like different experiences you have, but to get like very specific and open yourself up to like the public,
Yeah.
how do you like get to that point where you're confident enough to say, you know what, I'm going to tell my story. I'm going to reveal a personal or a deep side of myself.
It is really scary because I think like it's like you kind of have to like other people are in your life, so they're in that story, and it's hard to like respect them and also like say your truth, and not even necessarily personal like that, like let's say with your parents or just in life in general. I think it's really hard to be vulnerable like that, but I think like you have to start with yourself, because like for me it's all about creating things and becoming better as a person, like evolving as a person. And so the more that I can be vulnerable with myself and share like my truth, because you can't write music that is vulnerable if you can't even be vulnerable with yourself. So like that's how I had to start. And then after that, it's like how we were talking about earlier, that it's a lot of like punk and rock in the scene. And I don't really hear anything like, it's good music. I'm not saying it's not good music, but it's not anything that like it makes me stop and think like, damn, like that's a really personal experience you're telling me right now. And it's like, for me, I want it to be a conversation between me and whoever's listening, and them being like, well, like, I'm sorry you had to go through that, or I've been through that too. And like, I like you said it exactly how it feels, basically. And so that's how I want it to be. Like for me, all like human connection is formed through vulnerability. So I have to be vulnerable with my listeners if they're going to be vulnerable with me.
And that's something that's very like antithesis to the scene itself, because there's a lot of people who put on the front, basically. And sometimes it's part of it, because I mean, if rock stars put on the front, they're not going to be themselves completely. But a lot of people, I guess the main focus is to get people moshing, moving, or sometimes, I don't know, like put it on the character. And so like what you're trying to do is very like against that. It's very different.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just applaud you, because to me, you always seem like someone who's not afraid of standing out. Because there was this one moment, and again, I know it's gonna be kind of controversial a little bit, but when you stood up against the blow up dolls, I mean, I know like maybe you might not want to get into that, but just the confidence you had, the fact and it's not even about them or like the drama or anything like that. It's just the fact that you stood up to them saying, "Hey, I don't agree with what you're saying," but and you got to that point, and I was just wondering, like, how did you get the confidence to like go? And again, it's not about them, like the fact that you stood up to someone that's popular, like something that's big. Because again, we do get it to the point of like clout chasing. I think almost everybody's guilty of that. There's someone who had a lot of clout at that point. How did you like say, you know what, I'm gonna speak my mind no matter what people think? How did you get to that point?
I think like, first of all, like you said, like it's not about the drama. And even then, like I don't have any problems with any of them. Like to each their own. I think a really big problem that people have is that when you disagree with them, you think it's automatic beef.
Yeah.
Like that's just not how humanity works. Like you can disagree with people and still get along.
Exactly.
But I think because it's such on a public scale, that your pride gets in the way, and you're like, you're not going to publicly drag me and get away with it. Like I didn't want to like take it public, but I think basically at that time I was actually really, really scared, because it was like, at that time it was Blow Up Dolls and Mantic that were kind of like the two were like more, I guess, popular all-female bands. And I just felt like if I disagreed with them, that it was going to become a I hate women thing.
Yeah,
or like, and it did. Like, I'm not going to lie. It did. A lot of people did tell me that. But I know who I am. Like, and I've always known who I am. I know how my family raised me, how my mom, how my dad raised me. And I'm not going to let anybody who doesn't know me personally tell me who I am. I can disagree with you and still have love for you. And, that's how I am. And I knew that, there are certain things that people can say, and they just, like, I'm just going to disagree because that's not right. Like, I don't even remember what we were, whatever the whole argument was about, or the drama or whatever. But I just remember that it didn't sit right with me. And so if something doesn't sit right with me, then I'm going to say my truth. And I'm not going to say it in a mean way. I'm going to say it respectfully. Because I think, like, if you care about anybody, you should try to correct them when they're wrong. And I didn't want to do it publicly. And even now, like, looking back, I think it was all really like high school drama coded. Like,
that does happen still. Like, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, how do like bands like keep themselves in check when it comes to that? Like, how do you know like when to like pick and choose your battles? Because again, as a band, sometimes you're gonna butt heads with people. You might have the disagreements with their sound, or sometimes there's like this fake competitiveness that like happens because like, oh, we're in the same genre.
Yeah. I think for me, I was lucky, at least like with White Crow. Anytime we had like something that we wanted to talk about, we really did like always run it by each other and be like, hey, I have this thing that I want to talk about. And they'd be like, I don't really think that we should do that on our band account, but you're more than welcome to do that on your private account. And I think that's completely respectable because at the time, one of our band members or two of them were minors. So there were certain things that we didn't want to talk about and draw attention to minors or anything like that in our band. So we decided to do it like that. And then with Magic Mantis, we were like, well, we're all friends, right? We're best friends. So we had each other's backs. Like if somebody was getting thrown under the rug, we're like, you're not going to talk about my best friend like that. Right. Yeah. So, I always have love for all of them for getting me to where I am today. I learned so much from being with all of them. And like, I hope that, it doesn't have to be where if you are not in a band with somebody anymore that you hate each other, it shouldn't be like that. And I wish that there wasn't so much like beef in the scene. I
think it's just as people are like humans are naturally tribal, and so when I first started off, I was kind of like wondering like why are the same bands in the same set list, whatever. Just because you have your own friends, you want to have them in your same shows as you, so like you see like certain clicks over and over again, and I'm like, okay, it makes sense now. Like
it does make sense, but also that is something that I don't personally like. Like even as somebody who is like in the same sets. Yeah. Because I think it doesn't give opportunity to new bands. It doesn't give opportunity to bands that are smaller. Like I do understand that like with promoting shows and stuff like that, you understand that when you bring this band, you're going to get a good feedback. But I think all of us should be a little bit riskier in like, helping bring more, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for?
Basically give somebody a chance. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Throw somebody a bone, guys.
No, I think that has been happening lately. I think there's more promoters who are good and bad. There's a lot more promoters. So I mean, our scene is maturing, but sometimes like you have like 4 or 5 shows at the same time. I mean, it's a good thing and a bad thing because obviously, if the scene doesn't grow, then you're competing for the same people. But if it does grow, then that means there's more opportunity available. So I mean, you can be a little bit more riskier with the lineups you build. It's just that you need to have promoters who have like in a business aspect less expensive shows, so there's less risk. Because if you're doing like touring bands, you really need bands who can like draw people in. Otherwise, you can lose money. Yeah. And again, I know it's the whole putting people in a box, but I mean, you just need more people. I guess like the DIY scene needs to get like stronger because right now we only have like 2. Because right now we only have like Bummer Shed and the Shack.
Oh really?
So we need more like DIY spots to like help beginning bands get that opportunity to say, hey.
That's actually really true. Because I'm like 707 isn't a DIY venue. I just realized because it's so like down to earth that sometimes it gives that vibe. But
that and it's also like a more affordable venue when it comes to like booking it. Because once you get to like the McAllen area, it's more expensive because I understand that owners have like property taxes, they have liquor licenses. Yeah. All that stuff really builds up. And I mean, it's not cheap. I was talking with the owner of Cena, and like he was like doing like the breakdown of how much it costs to run the venue, and I'm like, oh shit, like it's
actually expensive. It's a lot. Well, I mean, it's kind of one of the bigger venues here in the valley, right?
Yeah, but just in general, like keeping your licenses intact, like when you're selling alcohol and all stuff, like it's in the thousands, and you gotta do like every 2 years and all stuff. So I understand why they had to charge what they do.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
And here, like since it's not like a bar type things, they can like lessen their costs, so you could become riskier with shows here because the promoters also get charged less. So you're able to get bands that maybe not have a big draw, but you can build up like an audience out of that.
I think also like location wise, this is like in a residence, right?
That's the only downfall of it. I mean, not the downside of it.
Yeah, but like the other ones are in like they're downtown.
So like you can be as loud as you want, like till 2 p.m.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, it's cool.
But yeah, hopefully more DIY venues. And also, hopefully, more bands form. I want to see some more bands. There's more bands forming in Brownsville, surprisingly. There's a band called Blanket. So they're the shoegaze band I told you about earlier. Yeah. They're kind of like inspired by Glare. Shout out Glare.
Yeah. And then
Opening for
there's
Super Heaven next week, I think. Oh,
Yeah.
whenever this comes out, but I don't know.
I get you. And then there's a band called Second Floor Window or something like that. And they're kind of like an indie based band, also from Brownsville. These are young guys. So like there is bands forming over there. It's just a matter of getting them over here and bands from here going over there.
Yeah, that's super cool though. And it's
Mhm.
honestly like you were saying earlier when like before the podcast about how like the newer scene is being influenced by like Glare. I think
Yeah.
that's super cool. Like, and I never really thought, I guess, like how it's barely growing, like the scene, like it's maturing now, which is
Yeah.
really interesting.
We just need bands to stop getting canceled and
Guys, please stop getting canceled.
so we can actually have like a mature scene.
Big things coming soon, guys. Not allegations, please.
Yeah. Because I think that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is like bands breaking up or maybe not having time because like when you're young, you have less responsibilities. You don't
Yeah,
have
for
kids,
sure.
you don't have families. But once you start like reaching your like late 20s, early 30s, sometimes depending on what path you take, obviously with your life, you might start forming families. Then it becomes tougher to like start touring and all that stuff. That's one aspect. I don't think there's anybody here who's like actively pushing bands to play outside the valley.
Yeah, you're right.
So you need that. You need someone to take them to tour. Like even going to Laredo. Laredo's 3 hours away. Corpus is like what, 2 hours away. San Antonio is 4 hours away. If all these bands are young guys and maybe don't have their license, maybe they don't have experience enough experience to be driving out there.
And their parents don't let them.
Yeah. So that kind of like holds back the scene a little
Yeah.
bit.
No, true.
So you need someone to have connections, take the bands to these different locations, and maybe have some supportive parents or somebody to actually take them out there. Then, because right now we're at the point where there is experienced bands. You know, you have Half Wrath. They're finally going out of there a little bit. They're Tim Mook's dad's like very supportive of the band. So like
I know they're so cute, really.
yeah. So like he's able to like we talked yesterday and like he drives them out there. I mean, he works as a teacher. He's held back some of his own personal goals because he wants the band to really go out there. And he's telling them like a lot of these bands don't have a parent to drive them out there. They don't even want to watch their kids play because maybe they don't like the music, whatever. But he's constantly driving them out there. So like
No,
take
literally
advantage.
every single time I go to see Havrath, he's there recording
Yeah.
in the front. He's so supportive. And then I like smile at him and he's like so excited.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, that's so cute.
Yeah, because he was saying that he was also a musician himself, so he understands everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got really lucky too because my dad's like that. Like he doesn't go to my shows necessarily, not because he doesn't support me. It's just because he feels weird being around a bunch of kids.
yeah, that's the other part.
Yeah, but he like when the EP came out, he was like listening to it before it came out. And he's like, tell them that they need to fix this and they need to fix that. And when I was playing bass in the band and I don't know what, and he was like pushing all the EP to his coworkers and my mom too. My mom was like, it has bad words. They're not gonna like it, and she posted anyways. She's
Yeah.
like, it's so funny.
So like that's another part where you need parents who like are very supportive, where they're actually like wanting to take their kids out there to tour.
Because it's not, honestly, like, especially I think here in the Valley, like a lot of our culture is like, well, Mexican, but also religious.
Yeah.
And the type of music, like maybe like punk rock is like considered maybe devil music in some
Yeah.
households. So it is kind of like you have to get lucky
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah. And I did. Thanks, parents.
Like you definitely have to get lucky on that aspect. Another reality is the fact that the valley is a little bit lower compared to the rest of Texas. So like doing a
True.
tour is like a huge investment. You need to have enough merch, CDs, shirts, and even that it's pretty expensive. Making sure you don't get ripped off because I mean there is shady promoters out there. Even here in the valley, there's venues that I have heard that they don't pay the bands.
It's happened.
This happened.
It's happened.
So as a band, like there's a lot of risk you're taking. So, I mean, you need to get like very lucky just to have that opportunity to go out there. And once it happens, we can finally have the Valley playing a more important role in the music scene in Texas because right now we can get bands from Austin here, from Houston, Dallas, all that stuff. But getting bands over there is a whole different thing.
So true. I think it's like you said earlier, like you like our local representation has to be strong because like if we're playing like let's say I'm in a band, right, and I go to a promoter and they like stiff me, they don't pay me, like it was a horrible like out, like nobody came, like it was just
Yeah.
terrible, like I'm not gonna want to go out. Like, I'm not gonna want to go travel. I'm not gonna want to go out if like locally I can't even like get a good gig. Like, what makes me think going out I'm gonna get a better gig? Like, you have to be. We have like it starts at home. You have to fix home first before you can go out. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that.
No, yeah, and I think our scene's already mature enough for like bets to start touring. It's just a matter of connections and all that stuff.
Yeah, true. Exciting though.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna happen possible because I mean I'm not sure if I should announce it yet.
Announce it, drop it.
Okay, so like basically I'm gonna start helping Persimpium do a tour in the summer.
My God.
So I mean by the time this episode releases, it'll probably be closer to the official announcement. But I do have connections like in Austin, Houston, and other areas because again the podcast is one of them. Doing shows, knowing all these agencies, it's helped out a lot. And I want to start helping other bands. Like I'm also, well, yeah, I should just say it.
Oh my God, we're getting all the tea today.
So I want to work with Have Breath as well. Like Have Breath, I mean, they already proven that they can do really well here in the Valley.
Yeah, they have.
They established their sound. They're perfect. It's just a matter of like helping them get connected to all these other areas. So I want to work with them too, maybe like in the winter or fall. Another one might be Bragg as well because I feel like they're ready.
Yeah, they're so talented. I love them. They're so cute, and I'm honestly so happy for Vivi. Like, cause I know like when we were in White Crow, she was talking about like that project that she wanted to do, and like I'm really happy that she got to do it, as well as like Francisco and Ruben with Salem. Like I'm happy for everybody. Like good luck, y'all.
Yeah, so like I want to start off with them because I'm close friends with them, so I'm able to like I already know like how to like promote them, how to talk to other promoters saying, hey, this is what they offer. And it could be like a trial run for bands to start like going up there. Because if this goes well with all three bands, then I can talk to other bands and say, hey, this is what I've done for them. I can do this for you.
Oh.
Let's start pushing them out there.
Yeah, and then you become like a RGV label.
I thought about it, but I don't want to say that right now just because
we're manifesting that for you. RGV label. Joe Martin.
It would be nice because I really do want to get fully involved with this and like start pushing our bands over there. It's just a matter of spreading myself too thin because I have a podcast.
No, yeah.
Valid. I do my shows. If I start doing this takes another aspect of it. But if I'm able to make it my full-time job, then it wouldn't be too bad. Because right now I still have my own personal life, my own job, my relationships and all that stuff. So it becomes a lot of stuff.
Of course, yeah. But I mean, I pray that you could do that because that sounds amazing. I think like how you said about me earlier, like I think you stand out. Like you are like the salmon swimming upstream because like nobody else is doing this here. At least like to the degree and to the commitment that you do it, where it's like I saw this man setting up all this stuff. Like he paid his own money for all this stuff. Like, and that's you paid your own money for all this stuff because you have a love for it. Yeah. You know, it's really easy for us like as musicians. Well, not easy, right? But it's a lot easier, I would say, when we just got gifted a guitar at 14 and we're like started a silly little band and we're playing but you are like doing this because you love it, you know, even when you have all these other commitments already. Yeah.
And I think the fact is since I'm a little bit older than the scene, it kind of like I have money to spend. Yeah. I know like, a lot of the younger bands, maybe they're still in college, so they don't have that much money. They don't have jobs. So it becomes a little bit harder. So you just need someone with more resources to be able to help out those with less resources. Yeah. Not to say that I have a lot of money because I don't. Like I have my own struggles too. Yeah. Helping my mom like rebuild her house because you know some stuff needs to be like remade. Yeah. And I'm surprised like other people haven't taken advantage of that, like helping people out and pushing them forward because there has been like other promoters here and maybe they're also busy with their lives. I mean, I can't say too much, but I think this could be like a new start for the scene.
I think like it is really important for the older like generation to help because I noticed it, especially like at least for me, like because I like the hardcore community, so like Inconvenient Truth, like Warning Shot, like all those bands. I noticed it like that they have like the old heads, right? And they really are like a really helping hand for the younger generation. Like I've seen some kids that go into like a show, they don't know what moshing is, but they're just having struggles at home and they go there and they're welcomed with open arms. They know that they can always turn to like the hardcore community and will accept them and embrace them like wholeheartedly. I think that should be done on like an even bigger scale. Yeah. You know,
that they were basically the inspiration because I didn't really go to the hardcore scene because it's not my thing. Yeah. But I would go to these shows and I saw how like super supportive they are of each other. They have a legitimate community there. Like they actually support each other and all stuff. We do. And for me, I'm more into like the indie alt rock scene where I noticed that there's not much of that here. There is like DIY scene and all stuff, but they don't really go to each other's shows. That's where like my conflict began, where I noticed that maybe in the indie scene, bands don't support each other. The venues don't really like support each other either. The promoters, I mean, there's not many. I think it's just me and maybe like two others.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the hardcore scene, all the promoters, like the local promoters, they work with each other. They promote each other's shows. It's not a competition. It's like
It's not, and like all the bands are best friends.
Exactly.
Like it's amazing. Like I love seeing that.
And they don't just hang out for shows. Like I seen them hang out like at other places.
They do, yeah.
Without like gigs involved.
No, yeah. Like recently we had like a birthday party for Scott, like the singer of Inconvenient Truth, and like a bunch of different band members, like from different bands pulled up, like Mankind, like Meek, and it was amazing. I was like, man, these people are actually homies for real.
Yeah, they're like actual friends.
They're actual homies, yeah.
And so like I want to do that for the indie scene, and it's just a matter of like someone getting that ball rolling. And I want to start doing that with Bummerset, The Shack, and I forget her name.
Ari Wizards.
Yeah. I know her actual name is Amy, but I forget the
tag.
The tag. And I want to start doing that just because, like, again, we need our scene to also grow. Because again, there's the community aspect of it, which I enjoy, but for me, there's also the business aspect. Like, if you want to be like really like cynical, my job depends on having a healthy indie scene. Because if I want to bring touring bands over here, I need bands from here to have that draw, have that pool and all that stuff, and actually have shows. So
honestly, like I think that that's a really good mindset to have, and I've talked about it with like other like band members too. But like being a musician, like yes, you have the passion, you have the love, but it is half business.
Yeah,
like
you are a business.
You are a business. Yeah, you're your own marketing, you're your own production, like all that stuff. And like on top of that, like for me, like if I'm in a band, like I want to be there on time. I want to follow through on my commitments. I want to, yes, we're friends and yes, we hang out, but when we're grinding, we're locked in.
Yeah.
You know, like as much as I love music and it is passion for me, because I love it so much is why I'm going to be like, it's a business too, you know, because I want to succeed.
Yeah, like you can mention like my equipment, like I hear the numbers for your guys' equipment, like when it comes to like drums, bass and all that stuff, and I'm like, making sure, not just buying them, but like maintaining them too. No,
literally, because when I was with Mantic, like me and Tyler would like, Tyler the guitarist, Janelle also R&B, we were on Facebook Marketplace looking for gear, and we found a stack for my bass, so a head and a cab, and also for her guitar, and they were like San Antonio and Austin. So we were like, we got the day off, the whole band, and we drove over there. Picked them up, we tried them on, and we tried them out and stuff like that. And we got like, I got a whole cab, like a carbon bass cab and head for like $100, and hers as well was like $100, and it was like a steal. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like that commitment, people don't see it. They just see the outcome. They just see us performing with it, and they're like, oh, that's pretty sick. But like, no, we had to go and spend our time and money.
Yeah, the average person won't even know the difference.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, okay, they have their stuff. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, glad you showed up with your stuff.
That's another interesting point where since those like cities have like a really mature music scene, you're able to buy cheaper equipment.
Yes.
Compared to here where maybe not everybody has all that equipment to like sell for spare parts.
So true. Yeah, because with the amp that I got, like the guy, he said that it was his dad's, but his dad just never used it anymore. And he was like, so we're just trying to get some more space. Yeah. And then I was like, I'll take it off your hands. I got you.
Damn, that's badass.
Yeah.
Damn, I mean, again, that really shows the commitment. Because again, people don't see, and again, this is more on the payment side where like you guys as bands, like you're not just performing. I mean, it's learning I guess the basics, like the chords and all stuff, writing your own music, buying your equipment, practicing, all that stuff is an investment. It's not easy.
It is. And it's also like difficult because it's like, it's not just you doing it. Like you're doing it with 3 to 4 other people. So you all got to be on the same page. And that's what's difficult too. You know, like when you're writing music, and like, for me, like I said earlier, like music is like a conversation. Like, so if I'm talking to somebody and they're like, I don't like what you're saying, like we're not going to write a good song, you know? So it's difficult. Like,
how do you balance that as a band where you're trying to like obviously have your own voice, but then you also need to like talk with 3, 4 other members? Like, how do you balance that off?
Oh my God, I couldn't even tell you. I never mastered that. Like, honestly, it was like, it's just so hard. Like, I think I mostly found that with White Crow. Because like I have had a lot of people tell us before that our sound is really unique. Like, because we all listen to a lot of really different music. Like, I know VV is like a little Joan Jett. Like, you know, Francisco listens to like some like weird stuff. Like, he likes everything slowed and reverbed. And I don't know, he's just weird. Ruben is like, he likes like Slipknot and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't know, I just like everything. So we kind of tried to find a balance of everything all at once. And that was what was created. I think at first, if you try to like sound like somebody else, then that's where you run into trouble, right? Because you're like, I want to sound like Smashing Pumpkins. I want to sound like this. But you should just want to sound like yourself. And what comes out will be the White Crow sound, which is what we called it. You know, like it's that, for me, the White Crow sound is a better sound than a Smashing Pumpkins wannabe, you know?
Yeah, because that some bands do fall into that trap where like, you start hearing them like, oh, you just sound like this band and that's it.
Yeah, it sucks.
That, and I've seen like also some bands promote themselves on Instagram and TikTok that way, where I don't want to name names, but like they like really compare themselves to one specific band.
Really?
And then in the comments you'll see people saying like, oh, you don't
sound anything like them. That's
or why don't you like just make like what you're saying, like why don't you just have your own sound and
just be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because like everything, oh my gosh, it goes back to why I took a break from social media. Like, everybody just wants to be like somebody else. Like, when you're living through like a social media lens or like this like alternate reality type of thing where like everybody's only putting their best in there, and you're seeing that all the time, and you're like, I want to be like that, I want to be like that. And y'all don't like, nobody realizes we're all mirroring each other. We're all mirroring fakeness. Like, where is the reality? Like, it's when you get off the screen and you find yourself. Like, that sounds so hippie, right? But that's the journey I went through.
Yeah, because no one's gonna be posting like the worst parts of their lives on social media, like, or just like a boring day, like.
Exactly. Like, I post like little photo dumps of like grass and like cats, and I'm like, because this is my life, you know, like that's what I did today. I went on a walk, I saw a really cute gas station cat, and I ate some food, and that's it.
That's something that's very simple. It's
it's casual. Like, honestly, we should bring back casual Instagram. Like, in like middle school, when people would post like the most random things, like that was more real. And now everything's like face tuned and like perfect like poses and stuff, and it's overwhelming, honestly. Like,
yeah, I think a lot of the blame is just falls on social media, where there is a lot of like fakeness that people are trying to replicate, and for the average person, like, oh wow, like I'm not living that life, so like I feel bad now because I should be doing that right now. When everybody does have like their own fun moments, their own crazy moments.
Yeah.
Whether you capture them on camera or not, it's a whole other thing too.
That's true, but I feel like they're better when they're off camera because they're just in here, you know. But also, I was gonna say, like, obviously, it's not like you have no power with social media, but it's so addictive. Like, now that I'm back on it, like when I got back on it, I was there for one day and I was like, it's happening again, and I deleted it again.
And it's purposely done that way. Like when you get a notification, you're like, oh shoot, you see like the little hearts with
the yeah. It's like it feeds your like what's your serotonin or your dopamine or whatever it is. But it's like you have to find discipline like with yourself too, because back then, I mean, obviously like those things were working because I was like insecure, like in my position in life or in myself. And now that I'm like more secure and I'm happy with myself, like it doesn't bother me. But also like I know when to stop doom scrolling, like you know. So I think you just got to find your balance. But yeah,
it's the fact. It's weird that even words like that exist, doom scrolling, because all these social media sites, before you could like organize it by chronological order. So after a certain point, you reach all the, or you read all the posts, you can get off of it.
I remember that.
That's how it was before, but now it's constantly endless. Like, there's different dates. Like sometimes I go on Instagram, I see like a picture from like 4 days ago. I'm like, why didn't I see that time?
Yeah, and it's like, it's crazy because it's like so much. Like, I'll see like a video of a cat and I'm like laughing, and then the next one is like a veteran that came home from war, and I'm like crying my eyes out, and then the next one is like another silly cat. I'm like, it's playing with my emotions. Like, it's overwhelming.
It's not on purpose, because I know like some of these sites, whatever, they team up with organizations that work for casinos. Because to get addicted to casinos, like you need constant stimulation.
Yeah.
All these bright lights, pressing buttons. whether sometimes you're gonna win, sometimes you're not gonna win. Again, it's like some social media posts, they may get a lot of likes, some of them may not. It feels
Yeah.
good having a bunch of notifications, so you start looking at which posts do better. So like, okay, I want to keep doing that.
That's so true. It does. It's weird. Like, why does it feel good that like somebody liked your post?
It's validation,
That's true. Yeah.
and some people crave it. Some people may not have that at home, so like now they're getting all this attention as well. That's another part of it. And some people go crazy chasing that
That's so
validation and
interesting.
that acceptance that, hey,
Yeah.
I'm being myself. What do you think about me?
But then it's like, is it really you?
Yeah,
The Loathe song, is it really you? But yeah, this is like, I know we're like having such like a boomer conversation. Like,
it is to a certain extent, but I think it's a necessary conversation because there is some younger kids in the scene and they're very impressionable about what goes on. And so they might see certain behavior that they think is cool, but it's not. And
especially in the
if no one
scene.
speaks out about it, then they're gonna replicate that.
Yeah, like I noticed that last year, especially like you said with the younger generation, like seeing things that they thought was cool because some of the like older kids were doing it, and like it's not cool. Like for example, vandalizing a venue
Oh,
is
yeah.
not cool. Not paying an entry fee, that's not cool. Like you are going to a show, but you're not supporting the artist. Like you're not supporting the venue. You're not supporting your community.
Yeah, I know sometimes they try to climb this fence over here
I know.
just to get to the show.
Yeah. Like it was, I think Bummer Shed, right? Or the Shack or one of them. No, Bummer Shed that got like destroyed or something. Like that's not cool.
That happened also at the dungeon when they broke a toilet.
Oh yeah.
The gremlin when they wrote on the stalls.
The stalls, yeah. Like we got to do better. We have to support our community. It's like how I was saying earlier too, like as musicians especially, like that's why I started performing again because what I was planning to do in my little like reclusion era was like just make my music and release it, and if it finds somebody, it finds somebody. But it's like if you want support, you got to give support. It's like how I said with the music, if you want to be vulnerable, if you want to get vulnerability, you got to be vulnerable. So you got to give what you want to get. So I started going out and supporting again, and it's like then people are like, hey, where have you been? And I'm like, making music. And then it opens that door where like now we're talking about
so
it.
when I say it to open mic, I'm like, is that Jannelly? I'm like, oh shit, it is.
Yeah.
And it was like, again, really random because most of the scene stays to McAllen. So like Hardigan's a different area, different crowd. So I saw somebody there, I'm like, okay, she's there. Then I saw other people like Gavino was there for a while too.
Yeah.
What's his name? Wagon Man, Jake
the Wagon Man, yeah. I think that was the appeal though to a certain extent because I wasn't ready to go fully back into the world of like the Walrus if I'm there, a lot of people will know me, you know? But like over here, nobody really knew me, and I liked that because the music that I was performing was really like, I don't know who she is, but I like her music.
Yeah.
You know?
I wish you could do the same. Not to be like big headed, but like the moment I got there, I'm like, you're the guy who does a podcast. I'm like,
oh,
yeah.
That's so funny. So like that for you, like everywhere, like from Harlingen to like Edinburgh, or
if I'm in the scene area, like wherever they're hanging out, yeah. It doesn't matter.
Sick.
It doesn't matter which area, but if it's not like a scene area, like there's not like musicians that nobody knows, and I prefer that.
I don't think that's big headed though. I think that's just like a representation of like the work you've put in.
No, it's because some people can let it get to the head, like, oh, everybody knows me, I'm the cool guy.
Oh yeah, I know. Some people
to
like
me,
that.
I'm the opposite where I get freaked out because I'm like, okay, they know who I am, but I have no idea who they are.
That's a little bit strange when that happens.
That's when I usually hang out in the back. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to.
Or like it's happened to me where like I see somebody in public that I've seen it perform or something, and I'm like, I know them, but I don't know from where I know them, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah. Has anybody like recognized you outside like the scene? Like, oh my god, you're the singer for this band.
Yeah, it's happened a few times with White Crow where they're like, you're the singer for White Crow, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, oh my god. And I think it's so funny because obviously like I'm screaming like on stage, and like I feel like everybody has like some sort of persona on stage. Like it's just part of the gig. And like in reality, I'm like a pretty timid person, like with people I don't know. Like my family, of course not. I'm like crazy. But I'm a pretty timid person. So when people come up to me and they usually hear me screaming, like growling, and they're like, hey, you're the singer from Micro. I'm like, yeah, like it's so nice to meet you. And they're like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's not the same personality.
No, not at all. But I like that. Yeah.
No, yeah. So I mean, it's just a matter of that. It does get weirder when like it's out of the valley because I was on TikTok once, and I was trying to talk with a band from Houston, and they already knew who I was before I talked to them.
Wow.
And again, it was kind of weird, but like it's because some bands from Houston already know who I am. So I guess like whenever like at the demographics of my podcast, like there's people from Austin, Houston, and other areas, and like I don't know how it reaches them because again, it's very valley centric.
That in and of itself is like such a huge milestone for you.
It is, but like again, it's always kind of weird because like, what do they know about me? 'Cause
Like, what do you think? You think bad things? I don't think
I don't
so.
know. I don't know. It's just kind of weird because like I have always I have been a cloud chaser and not a cloud chaser, but in terms of like not being fully myself earlier on with the podcast. Part of it because like I don't want to freak out people because like people get freaked out once you start talking about like real stuff. Like once you get very vulnerable, like how you do. Some people will enjoy it. Some people will be like, oh shit, like this is too personal. I don't want to see this.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like early on, like I would put on a facade of who I was. I was still myself, but not fully myself. And now I think I'm getting to the point where I will talk about like personal stuff that goes on. Again, like even a drama or like just like battles because I wouldn't talk about it because I want to like avoid drama. I hate like adding more to it. But again, like if you don't speak up about it, it just goes on.
Exactly.
And the reason why is because like since I'm a substitute teacher, I see like how kids react, how high schoolers are, and that when you said the word high school coded,
Yeah.
that follows people to adult life. Like it's never gonna end. Everybody's gonna have like even if you're in the workplace, people are gonna have their cliques. They're not gonna like other people. There's gonna be bullies. None of that ever ends. So it's just a matter of understanding human nature, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this conversation anymore.
So you felt like
I feel like I had to put on like a front for a while just to like get accepted into the scene because I'm very different. Like I'm not a skater.
I get you.
I don't go to a Hot Topic. I don't I don't really do a lot of stuff what the scene does. Like I'm not.
You're just a normal guy that loves like music.
Yes.
And that's so valid.
Yeah,
and I feel like we need more of that for sure.
Yeah, like even like early on, like who was it? It was last year when it was with Gustavo from Gusto Gusto. Before I would like wear like colorful shirts and all that stuff, like patterns. That was unintentional. That wasn't like how I dressed at all because I knew everybody in the scene wears black. So like how do they?
They want it to be different.
The opposites, yeah, just to like get attention from the beginning. Because if you're looking to the crowd, everybody's be wearing black. Like I knew like the stereotypical guy get up or outfit was a Misfits shirt,
some jeans, and some combat boots,
Docs, or Converse, or the old school Vans.
Yeah,
that was like the average things. Like okay, let me do the complete opposite. So I wear brown shoes. I would either wear jeans or like the khakis, whatever, and I would wear like floral, colorful shirts. Because when you're a band performing, you're gonna see all black, and then you're gonna see like one motherfucker with like colorful shirts.
So real.
You know it's gonna be Joe.
Yeah.
And so like early on, I did that, and then once I got like into the scene, I started wearing like Docs, blue jeans, and all stuff. And that's because I really do enjoy it. Like I like
that's more like you.
Yeah. And I know. And one time I met Gustavo, and we were at the Wars, and he was like drunk and everything, and he was like the scene really got to you, right? I'm like, yeah, I did.
That's so funny. Honestly, like it's so like true though, and like so valid how like we try to fit in, like because for me at least, like I felt like I relate to that so strongly. Like with Mantic specifically, I think like it's good for us to be able to know like when we're being fake. Like you need to be able to acknowledge your own faults in order to grow. And for me, I really needed to acknowledge those faults when I was in Mantic because I just wanted to like I just tried to fit into the ideal of what an all-female band was and dressing more like feminine and gothic and stuff like that. Like how I dress, I wear jeans and a black t-shirt pretty much every day.
You would wear dresses, right?
Or, I would wear skirts and like skirts that I don't feel comfortable wearing. I don't judge what anybody else wears or what they decide to wear. I think you look beautiful however you want to dress. But for me personally, like I've never really been a girly girl like that. I've always been more like tomboyish, not in a pick-me way before I get torn apart. Just that's more what I'm comfortable with. And so I would dress like that and kind of just I wanted to be this like hot bassist. And I was like so icky of me looking back because it's like that's so not you. Like At that time, I was drinking, I was smoking, I wanted to be a hot bassist and like fit into this like metal scene. And then after like when I took that time to find myself, I'm like, I'm literally just a girl that loves music. Like that's who I am deep down in my heart. And how I dress, how I look, what I play, it doesn't matter. Like nobody can take that away from you. Like, so that's where that growth had to come in, because if I had stayed down that path, like I think I would have like, cause I was my most miserable when I looked most like I belonged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like stopped drinking and smoking and all that. And I'm so much happier now.
That and just in general, it's a lot healthier.
Yeah.
And I've seen certain bands or certain band members stop drinking and smoking. Like another big one was Geraldo from SKA. He started like posting how he's been sober from weed and all that stuff, and he posts his progress. I'm like, okay, this is good, because now I know he's young himself, but like younger kids from the scene
Yes.
are gonna see him like, you know what? People want to change their lives. They don't want to be smoking weed. And I know like he's going up north for work pretty soon. I think next month already, which is actually already this month actually. He's going up north to start working, and it shows it's a good example for kids to have, where it's saying, hey,
It is.
you don't have to be smoking weed, you don't have to be drinking all the time, because it can like, really fuck with you. When you're young, you don't really care about health, because like, yeah, whatever, you're able to recoup easily. But once you start getting older, like if you start drinking a lot, you can literally fuck up your liver. Like you can get cirrhosis. And the reason why I know is because like that happened to my dad, but also because like I went through some health issues right now, where like if you eat too much carbs, which beer is, it's carbs.
It's like all carbs.
It's carbs, sugar, and alcohol. So it's like the worst thing ever. There's 4 stages. So like the first stage, you're healthy. The second stage, you better start like taking care of yourself, because your liver is a very forgiving organ. But if you go to the third stage, or like midway into the third stage, there's
liver
no
failure.
returning. Yeah, like your liver is no longer able to repair itself. And once you hit the fourth one, you better hope that you can find an organ, because you're gonna die. Like it's your life is sealed already.
Yeah, for sure.
And the worst thing is that you're not guaranteed a liver, because you need to find someone who's compatible with you, and you're gonna be on a wait list for a while. And if you don't get a liver by the time like
before you die.
Yeah, you die basically.
Yeah, you die. That's
And so like I would tell people in the scene, like, hey, really take care of your health, because it's easy early on when you're in high school, because they control your portions. But once you're out of high school, it's easy to gain weight, because like you're in college, you can do whatever you want. You can stay up late, eat whenever you want. But if you don't take care of your health, I mean,
it will catch up to you.
It'll catch up to you
exactly
very quick.
Yeah.
And you'll see people dying in their 30s and 40s, and it's just scary.
I think so, for sure. Like that's what I went through like this last year, like super heavily, because I had to do, okay, so there's like in a hardcore community, how I was talking about, there's a straight edge community in there, right? Which I'm part of. So like Gibran is the one that kind of like led me into that. There's also like Robbie Lane B, like a lot of people there that like, there's like a good amount of people now that don't drink, they don't smoke.
Yeah.
And we advocate for that strongly, because like you said, you got to take care of yourself. And I think for me, I realized that I was always drinking as a social thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you don't love me or want to hang out with me, like when I'm not wasted out of my mind, then you don't really know me. Like you don't really love me or care for me, because I did have those friends where we'd go out like pretty much every night and get wasted. And it's like, this is so much fun. Like, oh my God. Like, no, it's not fun. Like it's just, everything is fun when you're drunk.
Yeah.
And so when I stopped and I realized like these people don't talk to me, they don't reach out to me. Like recently my grandma passed away and I had like little to no one reach out to me. And I was like, so that's like who my real friends are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's another aspect about the scene, where you really got to figure out who's your actual friends and who's just hanging out with you because maybe you're in a popular band.
Exactly.
Or maybe they like who you are or pretend to be are on stage, but yeah.
And also, I mean, everybody's going through their own things, right?
Yeah.
So I'm never going to hold it against anybody. Like I was going through my things and I isolated myself for a while. So I'm never going to sit here and be like, oh, you didn't reach out, so I'm mad at you. But at the same time, like when something is really, really heavy on your heart, like you should be there for the ones that you love.
At least like a message just saying like, hey,
exactly. Like I heard your grandma passed away. Like that sucks.
That's very true. And I mean, like, it's not just being in a band, like having fun. Like it's all these social aspects that get involved too with it. So it's.
I mean, because you're playing at bars most of the time, like, and then it's like it's so convenient and everybody's drinking around you, and you see the there's a band playing on stage and the lead singer's wasted and you're just like, that looks like so much fun. I want to try that.
It is fun when you're drunk, but when you're not drunk and you're seeing a very drunk band performing, you're kind of like, what the fuck's going on?
You're like, guys, come on, get it together. Yeah. For sure, I've been on both sides where it's like, because I played like maybe one time drunk and I was like, I couldn't even play it. I was like, I just felt so like disappointed in myself because I was like, how have I gotten to this point? And like, I even talked to my parents about it. Like my parents know my whole journey because like my parents and me we're very close. And they told me recently, because I've been taking care of myself, like my health and all that. They're like, you look just so much healthier now. Like when you stop drinking and because I mean, like you said, it's all carbs too. So I put on a bunch of weight. Like I put on so much weight. I was miserable. I was not with the right people. Like. And I was always like, why isn't anything changing? Why isn't anything changing? But how can things change when you don't allow things that don't serve you to leave anymore? You know, so I had to let everything go to start fresh. And that's what's really hard for people.
Yeah. And so like moving forward, like what do you plan to do? Like now that you took your break, you're now working on music that's yours. You know, you're taking care of yourself. What's the next step for you?
So my next step is kind of just like, I want to make music with the purpose of how I was talking to you about it earlier, like just being vulnerable and having something that people can listen to that they relate to. Because my personal experience with music very much like when I was 14, I mean, like I won't go into all the depths or anything, but I didn't have the best life growing up. And so I remember going to bed and putting my headphones in with my little Apple iPod or my Walkman. And I would listen to like Stop and Stare by One Republic, like whatever I had there. And that was like my escape from everything. And when I had my music playing and I related to them, I just felt like I wasn't alone. And if I can do that for like one person, like for me, that's a success. Like that's how I measure my success. I don't want to be famous. I don't want to blow up. Like I said, if it happens, I'll happily accept it. But that's not my goal. My goal is to at least just reach one person and touch their heart. And have them know that they're not alone. That's all I've ever wanted from life. Like whether that's music or talking, like I want to be a teacher too. So that's why like I know it takes a village to raise a child. And if I could do that with words or with music, like that's all I want from my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Same thing. That's a similar goal to mine where if I can like make a positive impact on someone's life, that's all like I could ever ask for.
Yeah, exactly.
And it has already happened before where some bands would talk to me, or at least members of bands where they don't have that encouragement at home, like you mentioned. So like they look up to like an older person to have that how do you say it?
The guidance.
The guidance, and just like telling them, hey, you're doing a good job. Just a simple word like that, and it can really change their lives.
Honestly, yeah. Some people, it's really sad, but like some people don't hear that their entire life. They've never heard I'm proud of you.
Yeah, exactly that.
They've never heard like you're doing a good job. It's sad. But most people are. Like for me, like I've told my friends that too. Like I'm proud of you for just waking up today.
Yeah.
Because sometimes waking up is a challenge in and of itself. And like I said, like people just aren't vulnerable enough to say that. Like when we ask, how are you? Like
everybody says like, oh, I'm doing fine.
I'm fine. I'm doing good. I'm okay. But if we all told each other how we really are, which I don't mean trauma dumping, but I just mean like, oh, I'm not doing the best, but it's going to get better. I know it'll get better. And then for somebody to be like, yeah, I will. But if you need me, I'm here for you. Exactly. The world would be like so much nicer, you know?
But I think part of the reason why people don't do this because there are people who take advantage.
They do trauma.
So there's the trauma dumping, but maybe someone's trying to like take advantage of your vulnerability.
Oh, true.
So like when we're talking about like drugs and alcohol, that's another thing where I get concerned about, where there's predators basically that
there are a lot
that they maybe only want to hang out with you because you're drunk. Because then like, okay, what can I do with this person when they're not like fully themselves? So it could be either that or just like emotionally, maybe you need something, and the wrong person might try to provide that with ulterior motives. So yeah, like people got to be careful with that stuff too.
You for sure like have to use your discernment, because I mean I've for sure had my fair share of that. Like being the way that I am, like because I am a really open person, like I am really vulnerable. It obviously has had its like bad times where people do take advantage of that. And it has like, in my heart, it caused it like, I guess, for me to harden and be like, that's just how humanity is. But it's just, vulnerability is wrong when it's with the wrong people. But you do have to use your discernment and knowing who the right people are and who you can be like that with. I think like you can be loving to people, but also have enough space where how they act doesn't affect you. You know what I mean? There's like a certain level of detachment to it, but I think that's how it should be.
Yeah. So I don't want to take up too much of your time because I'm not sure like what
No,
other stuff you have.
Oh yeah, I have to go babysit 3 dogs tonight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, my cousin, she just got married. Congratulations, Diana.
Congrats to her.
But yeah, thank you so much for this vulnerable talk.
Yeah, definitely. It was really,
Yeah,
it was nice.
it was refreshing for sure.
Basically, I would want to end it with what kind of advice would you want to give like younger people in the scene, like, or just anybody in general? Like, what kind of advice would you want to give them?
I would definitely, I'll talk to the camera. I will definitely tell y'all that it's a journey. Life is a journey. Everything that you go through is leading you to where you're meant to be. Every decision you take, every path you take is where you're meant to go. So choose to make the right decisions as to the best that you can. Nobody's perfect, obviously. We're all going to make mistakes. It's how you grow and how you recover from them that matters. And with music, especially if you love it, if you care for it, then go out, support the scene, pick up an instrument, write your music, and write from the heart. And however that may be, because writing from the heart doesn't have to be soft. It can be heavy. It can be angry. It could be whatever you feel. Just let it out and they'll relate to it. And yeah.
Right now, you can you can plug in your social media, your music, all that stuff. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I have an EP that I released a month ago called Truly J on Spotify, Apple Music, all those YouTube, under the artist name Jannelly. And I'm really proud of that one. I like produced it on GarageBand, so it's not the best sounding, but it's more about just like what it says and what it means to me. And then my Instagram, I only have Instagram. It's just Janelly Pena 123 because it's Peña, but they don't let me have
the
But I don't have anything on there. But my most important one is my YouTube channel, which I do have, which is Jannelly Pena. So I do post all my covers and songs on YouTube. But yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for being on here.
Yes.
Thank you guys for watching this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next time.